I will begin with what the record shows, because the tribunal deserves accuracy. My name is Dreva Thorne. I served the Compact Concealment Protocol Division for 22 years, the last 9 as its director. I developed or co-developed 41 of the 57 masking compounds currently in operational use. The division's field failure rate, prior to the Varaskel incident, was 0.003% across 14,000 deployments. That figure is on the record and I stand by it. Every one of those deployments involved species whose chemical recognition systems are understood, cataloged, and reliably defeated. I retired 3 months after the incident. I was not asked to retire. I chose to. The tribunal will note the distinction. The transit hub at Vareth Station is one of the largest civilian interchange points in the inner compact, roughly 40,000 individuals cycling through at any given hour across 9 transit platforms, 17 commercial concourses, and the 2 upper passenger galleries where most long-haul departures stage. The species mix skews heavily toward Tharvan and Vethsul on any given rotation, with smaller concentrations of Orvani, Kasari, and the handful of human block citizens who pass through on standard commercial traffic. At the time of the incident, 3 human citizens were present in the hub in an operational capacity that I am not authorized to describe before this tribunal. Beyond confirming they were there, they were masked, and their masking packages had been personally certified by my office 48 hours prior. Full spectrum masking, 4th tier suppression depth, 7-layer volatile compound replacement, the highest grade package we produce. The 4th individual, the asset we were moving, was also human. She had been masked in a separate facility, by a separate team, with no contact with the other 3. She did not know they would be present in the hub. They did not know she would be present. Their operational cells were entirely separate. I want the tribunal to understand this because the separation is load-bearing to what follows. The escort team entered the hub at 14:07 hub local time. The asset, a woman named Kessel, I will use her surname since it is already in the incident record, moved with the standard 4-person Tharvan escort in civilian attire. No weapons visible, no scanning equipment. A standard commercial-grade transit transfer, in appearance indistinguishable from 10,000 identical movements through that hub on any given rotation. At 14:08, 41 seconds after entry, Kessel stopped walking. The escort team's lead, Officer Vreth, reported later that she stopped without warning, mid-stride, without any behavioral precursor, no head movement, no visible scanning, no change in pace that suggested slowing. She simply stopped, the way you stop when you have forgotten something, except her expression was not distracted. It was attentive, pointed, focused in a direction that contained, to every instrument the escort carried, nothing but civilians. She stood still for approximately 12 seconds. Then she turned 90 degrees left and began walking. The escort followed, because there was no protocol for this situation. There is no protocol for this situation. That, I have subsequently come to understand, is the institutional failure I am here to account for. She walked for approximately 40 meters through the commercial concourse, into the moderate crowd density of the pre-departure staging area for Platform 6. She stopped in front of a Tharvan male in gray transit coveralls who was, according to all instruments and all records, simply a Tharvan male in gray transit coveralls. She looked at him for 2 seconds. She said his name. The Tharvan male was one of the 3 masked human operatives. The escort team, to their credit, maintained composure. They moved her away from the individual and resumed transit movement. At 14:14 in the upper passenger gallery, she stopped again. Different direction, different crowd density. She walked toward a female Orvani in formal commercial attire seated at a beverage station with her back to the main concourse. She sat down across from the Orvani. She said a name. The Orvani looked up. The second of the 3 masked human operatives. At 14:21, she found the third. This one was in the lower platform concourse, which the escort had specifically routed through as a neutral transit corridor with lower human block passenger density. The individual was positioned against a structural column in what the mission logs describe as a passive observation posture, seated on luggage, appearing to read. Kessel passed the column, paused, backed up 3 steps, and looked directly at him from less than a meter. She said his name. He closed his reading material. 4 minutes and 31 seconds elapsed between entry and the third identification. No scanning equipment. No prior knowledge of the operative's locations. No coordination with any external party before or during transit. Her communication had been fully interrupted from 2 hours before masking until the moment the escort team removed her from the hub. The escort mission was aborted. All 4 assets were extracted. I was contacted at 15:40 hub local time by Officer Vreth, who filed an incident notation with the phrasing that I will read directly from the record because I believe precision matters here. Asset demonstrated an apparent capacity to identify similarly masked individuals of her own species through a mechanism outside our current sensor vocabulary. 3 positive identifications in 4 minutes and 31 seconds, all verified. Recommend urgent protocol review. Outside our current sensor vocabulary. Vreth wrote that sentence, and I spent the following 8 days hoping it was imprecise. It was not imprecise. What we understand now, from the subsequent biochemical analysis that I commissioned personally, and which the tribunal has in its supporting materials, is this. Humans produce and maintain a species-specific olfactory signature that operates at a layer below the volatile compounds we replace in our masking process. It is not a single compound, it is a dynamic, individually variable profile, generated continuously by the human microbiome, modulated by skin surface chemistry, layered in ways that appear to shift in real time with metabolic state, emotional register, and environmental input. No 2 humans produce the same profile. No human produces the same profile twice in identical form. We replace the outer layer. We do not touch the underlying structure because we did not know the underlying structure existed. And humans read it. Not consciously, not as an act of deliberate analysis. Kessel herself described it in her subsequent interview as simply knowing someone was there. Not smelling, not detecting, not tracking. Knowing. The word she used, in translation, was recognizing. The way, she said, you recognize a voice in a room before the words become distinct. Something prior to thought. Every sentient species in the compact uses scent masking as the bedrock of covert identity concealment, because every species' chemical recognition system is a crude threshold detector. Present or absent, familiar or foreign, threat or not threat. Defeat the outer signal layer, and you defeat the recognition. This is the foundational assumption of the division's doctrine. It is the foundational assumption of every masking protocol across the compact. It is accurate for every species we have ever studied. It is not accurate for humans. What a human carries is not a threshold detector. It is a library, an individual library built over years of proximity, calibrated to the specific person and revised continuously. And it does not operate on the replaceable layer. It operates deeper, on something our instruments were not looking for because our instruments were built by species who do not have it. I signed the field failure classification myself. I also signed the doctrine review recommendation, which concluded that all masking packages rated for human assets require complete redevelopment from a baseline we do not currently possess, using biochemical methodology we have not yet established, targeting a signal layer we cannot yet fully characterize. Current estimated timeline for a functional revised package, not less than 7 years. There are, as the tribunal's recorder noted at the close of the incident review, 7 active operations currently relying on masked human asset movement. I will not speak to what was done about those 7 operations. That is outside the scope of this debrief. What I will say, for the record and for whatever use the tribunal makes of it, is that in 22 years of this work I believed I understood what recognition meant. I believed it was a signal problem. Produce the right signal, suppress the wrong one, and the recognizer finds nothing. Kessel found 3 of our best concealed operatives in a crowd of 40,000. She found them the way you find your own hand in the dark, without searching, without instrument, without apparent effort, because they were there, and she was human, and whatever runs beneath the chemistry we know how to touch, told her exactly where to look. I do not know what to call that. My biochemists have given it a technical designation that covers 11 words in compact standard, and tells you precisely what it measures and nothing about what it means. I chose to retire. I stand by that choice. Some things you build your life on turn out to be true for everyone except the one species you did not fully account for, and when that happens, the professional thing to do is file the report accurately, sign your name to it, and make room for someone younger who has not spent 20 years building the doctrine that just failed. The report is accurate. My name is on it. That is all I have for the tribunal.